Hi, I'm Maya Van Rossum, the Delaware Riverkeeper. The Delaware Riverkeeper Network is presenting a series of interviews taking a critical look at the shale gas industry and its impact on our communities, our environment, and on our future. Today I'm going to be joined by Professor Anthony Ingraffea. Dr. Ingraffea is the Dwight C. Bound Professor of Engineering at Cornell University. Dr. Ingraffea will discuss industry claims that shale gas is an alternative fuel and also talk about the impacts of the drilling industry. I'd like to thank the Chestnut Hill Inn here in Milford, New Jersey for hosting us today. You had mentioned when you were describing the environmental and community impacts of shale gas development, confirmed cases of drinking water contamination, and the many ways by which surface waters, rivers, streams, creeks, whether they're a drinking water supply or a place to fish or just a place to enjoy, might get contaminated. And yet, we consistently have the shale gas industry asserting very strongly that there is no confirmed contamination of drinking water supplies. So how do they get away with their assertion?
Words. A week ago, there's testimony in the Senate of the United States of America. It's testimony. There were representatives from the oil and gas industry testifying, and there were representatives of a couple of large environmental groups testifying. And what we saw, once again, is dissonance. People talking past each other. Why? Because they concentrated on the word fracking. So the industry people got up and said what they always say. There's not a single absolutely determined case in which fracking has ever impacted groundwater. And then you have the environmental people stand up and say, are you kidding? There are hundreds of cases. And the industry people, and some of the senators would say, give me one. And then they have this dumb look on their face, this scratch. What, you don't believe me that there are hundreds of cases just in Pennsylvania alone of people losing their water wells? Yeah, but show me one that's caused by fracking. Dissonance. No communication, no conversation, no resolution, no concentration on the real problem or the real problems like the ones we've already talked about. It doesn't matter a whit. If a family loses its water well, do they care whether it was caused by fracking or whether it was caused by a failed cement job? Do they care whether it was thermogenic gas or biogenic gas? Do they care whether it came from thermogenic gas from a gas formation above the Marcellus or below the Marcellus or in the Marcellus? No. The fact is, they lost their water well because industry came to town. That's what should have been under discussion before the Senate of the United States last week. The question should have been, are people in the United States increasingly, more commonly discovering that their water wells or their sources of drinking water are becoming contaminated by oil and gas development? That's the question. And the answer is yes. Well, how do you prove it? Well, ask the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection to provide the 160 letters over the last 2 years. Ask Texas, ask Arkansas, ask Colorado. There are confirmed cases of water well contamination by oil and gas development. If you don't ask the right question, you're not likely to get the right answer. And I'm making a very long answer to your very brief question. How can the industry keep getting away with saying that there is no water contamination? They get away by saying it with respect to fracking. Fracking hasn't been confirmed to cause loss of drinking water. They can keep saying that. I don't think it's true, but they can say it. But nobody asked them the right question.
So we need to stop talking about fracking and we need to talk about shale gas development, which includes fracking.
Yes. Now, when we're talking among, quote, ourselves, and we understand what fracking has become to mean, then we're communicating. But when you're in the public arena, when you're testifying before the Senate of the United States or testifying in Albany or in Harrisburg or in Trenton, and you use the word fracking, and you're in the company of people from industry, they're going to want to use that word in its precise industrial meaning. That brief moment, an hour or two, in the 10-year life of a well, during which fracking occurs. And they're going to say, what harm can that do? It's under 6,000 feet of, quote, virtually impermeable rock. It's virtually impossible for something to come up to the surface from fracking. What are we worried about? So yeah, you answered your own question. We shouldn't be in the public arena when we're talking to the public, talking to legislators, talking to regulators, talking to the President of the United States or the governor of our states. We should not be using the word fracking. We should be saying we do not want more development of fossil fuels in our area. We want less development of fossil fuels in our area. We want a better alternative.